One. Hi guys, this is Sean King here, and we've got John Guffey, and you're on the Pool and Around show. So if you don't know who John Guffey is, he is a famous pool player from Oklahoma who also became a famous cue maker, and he's retired from that now. And I'd call him a three-cushion billiards expert now.
I try. It's fun.
So we got a couple questions for you. Some of it's going to be about you building cues. What I'm more interested in personally is some of these stories and some of these players you played, some of the tournaments that you went to. Where do you want to start?
Well, probably from the beginning.
Okay. In the beginning?
When I was right out of high school, I went to the pool room. I was hanging around with a guy named Stan Witter. He was an eye doctor. And in walked hippie Jimmy Reed. Didn't know who he was. So he asked if we'd play pool, and Doc wanted to see us play. So all of a sudden, they end up matching up for $500, 11 out of 21. This was 1970. So it was a lot of money back then. And I wasn't I was just a high school player, to be honest with you. And we played, and he threw off to me, so we tried to get 2 sets out of us. He wanted to win 1,000. And he was a top 5 player. You can Google him. He's got lessons on YouTube right now. He died a few years ago. But he was from Florida, hippie Jimmy Reed. And so he threw off a little to me, trying to get that second set. I ended up winning a few racks on me. It got to be 10-10 with my break. And he got a little bit nervous, and I was running out. I didn't play as good a shape as I did later on. And the shots were getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Got to the 8, and I had a long straight-in shot with fairly tight pockets. It was a big 9-foot table. And I took that second look on my backstroke, threw my timing off, and I dogged the shot. He beats me 11-10. So he won the 500, and that's the only set he got out of us. But the interesting thing is when he went back east, they had these things called spot sheets back then. You see, there was no tournaments back then, so the pool players had to hustle and get on the road and beat people out of their money to make a living.
Okay.
And there were hundreds of them.
Spot sheet.
Spot sheet. So a spot sheet was which spot you need to go to and who you need to play and how they played, and they'd rate the players, and they had them coast to coast. So they'd get to pull their heads together, and they'd each trade stories, and they'd all put these spot sheets together. So when they were on Route 66 or wherever they were going, they knew who to play in Tennessee, Kentucky, Kansas City, wherever it was, St. Louis. Wherever they were going, they had to go know the pool rooms, the spot to play, and who to play. Well, I got on this spot sheet because he beat me out of $500, and everybody and their dog wanted to come play this easy money with this eye surgeon that staked him. Mm-hmm. And so they just started rolling in. And I was after high school. I went to college for 4 years. And every day after school, I went to the pool room. And I guess there was 1 a week coming in, sometimes 2 a week. And there were so many that I started walking the parking lot, checking the license tags before I went into the pool room. And if there was a New York license tags out there, and I'm sitting there at the pool room practicing, somebody walks up and wants to play 50 of the game, well, I already knew they were from New York, and I would gauge, I might want to play them for 5 or 10 instead of 50, you know? So it's just a way to, so they all ran out 9-ball. I mean, I ran out 9-ball, but by the time you figured out how good they played, they'd run 6 racks on you, and it was too late. So I started, my best game was 1 pocket, and the old timers taught me how to play 1 pocket. Supposedly it was invented in Oklahoma, according to Minnesota Fats. And so Ronnie Allen was from Oklahoma. He was the best player at that time. So at any rate, I switched them all from 9-ball to 1 pocket, because I couldn't beat hardly any of them at 9-ball. And if they didn't know how to play 1 pocket, well, I might have even been the favorite. So first guy that I really beat that was famous that came through was Buddy Hall. And I switched him from 9-ball. He was one of the best 9-ball players that ever played, of course. And another Hall of Famer. I played 14 Hall of Famers like this. And
wow.
So I switched him to that. I stumped him 2 games in a row. Beat him 8-0, 8-0. He quit me. And I met him again at Johnson City, Illinois at the famous tournament. And I saw him over there at the corner pointing to me around a whole group of guys pointing at me over there, telling the story. And here, I was just a raggedy kid that was about 19 at the time. And I was pretty proud of that because that was one of my better wins. And so the next guy that I played that was any of significance was Grady Matthews. And so he walks in and tells me he's a farmer. And I don't know if you've seen Grady Matthews online, but he looked like a farmer. He was probably about 50 at the time, and I was 21. And he talked real slow. Of course, he was in The Color of Money. He was Grady, and actually he wasn't Grady in The Color of Money, but he was in The Color of Money. And so I shot every wrong shot playing him. I went into the stack, moving all the balls toward his pocket, and which is the worst shot you can shoot. Hit it 90 miles an hour. Cue ball goes through the stack, gets on the other side, now got shape. So I ended up beating him. And well, let me back up. So another way they sicked him on me was True Loves was an action spot in Oklahoma City. And they were a guy named Fat Eddie down there that used to stake all the pool players. And a lot of them moved here because they'd get staked by Fat Eddie. And so Chester Truelove owned the place. When they come in there, they'd say, well, who else can we play around here? And they'd send them to the north side to play me, and they'd stake them for the money. And then they'd cut up the money, and I was the guy to beat again. So Grady was sent down there to beat me. And sure enough, that day I beat him about, 2, 3, 4 games. He goes back down there and tells them the story. And, the kid beat me, They give him more money, send him back to play me again, and I beat him again. And I'm not a better player than him. I'm just telling you what happened. He might have been broke and playing bad that day. I shot every bad shot, and they just happened to go. Stupid shots, that you're not even supposed to shoot. And they went, and that's what happened. So we were always friends because, like I said, he moved here for the action. And so that's how I got started kind of playing these guys and played a zillion of them. Alan Hopkins, I played in there. Jimmy Rimpey, I played one time. They flew him into Play Buddy Hall for $10,000. I went down to True Loves to watch the game. Well, the game wasn't on yet. So I asked Jimmy Rimpey, I said, hey, I'll play you some if you'll spot me. So he says, well, I'll play you 9-7 for 40 a game. And I won the first 6 games.
Jim
Rimpey, King James. He'd won 72 tournaments at the time.
With the big hair? Do you have the big
hair? Big hair. Big silk shirt, bell bottoms.
Chain?
Sharp as can be. All these guys were sharp, man. All of them. And at any rate, to his credit, he got even at 5 till midnight. The place closed at midnight, and the game was over. He got even. But I was pretty proud of that one, too. Most of the guys beat me, to be honest with you. And so those were some of the better ones. I just played awful tough, and I was hard to beat on my own table.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I've heard about this. Why were you so tough to beat on that table?
Well, I decided a long time. When I was playing for 100 a game, and a guy left me a shot to where I could make it, I might win, but if I miss it, I lost. So let's say I was up 1 game. If I make it, I'm up $200. If I dog this shot and he wins the game, I'm dead even. So I decided that each shot was worth $200. It wasn't even worth $100. It was worth $200. So at that time, in the early 70s, my used car was only worth about $200. So I mentally decided that each shot, I was betting my car on the shot. And if I dogged this shot, missed the shot, lost the game, I had to walk home and I lost my car. And so who wants to lose their car and walk home from the pool room? So that's how I played tough. I really believe that, put it in the back of my mind. And I was tough to beat because I really tried my hardest on every shot. If I wanted to put him on the end rail, if I was an inch or 2 off, it meant something to me because he couldn't put English if I froze him down on the end rail. If I froze him up against the stack, it's a lot different than being out where he could see something. So every shot, I tried my hardest to make as successful as a shot as I could. And it was a formula that worked for me, and I was just tough to beat mentally, and I shot the right shots. A lot of these guys outshot me, but they might not have outmoved me playing one pocket,
Doesn't sound like you took anything for granted.
You can't. Particularly if you're playing these guys. It's a game of mistakes. Who makes the most mistakes? And Fat Randy from Tulsa taught me that. He says, if you make 7 mistakes and I make 4, well, I'm probably going to beat you. And that's the truth. So you got to make less mistakes, particularly when you're playing these road players that their lives depended on it. That's how they had to pay their hotel bills. Hotel bills were less than $5 back then. Gas was about $1 a tank. They could eat at McDonald's for 50 cents to $1. So they'd go on the road, and these guys were on Route 66, and I was on their list. So
yeah, a $500 set then was huge.
It was a lot of money back then.
Okay, let's see what I got here. My tablet died. I would like to know. The traveling around, like obviously Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and then we've got some Texas and some. Tell me kind of the map here.
Well, I didn't really travel around much, to tell you the truth. I was the guy that they traveled around to play me.
Okay.
So I was playing. I was never really. I didn't want to be a road player. I didn't want to be the guy that went in the bar and beat the guy that was a bartender, or the drunk, or whatever. I wanted to be a tournament player. And so my first tournament, like I said, they only had straight bill tournaments back then. I came in 3rd in the world in college, and I actually should have won it or 2nd. I kind of dogged off a session there, and that's part of the game. But I came in 3rd, and so I wanted the prize there was to get to go to Chicago for the U.S. Open. It was straight bill, and so I played a series of these tournaments. They kind of dangled a carrot to get you these tournaments so that you could win. One guy could win a trip to Chicago. So right out of college in 1974, I went to Vegas to play in a straight bill tournament. Not my best game at all. Probably one of my weakest games. Although I ran 100 balls one time, and I ran 79 and out in a tournament once. So that's pretty good, but not good enough to be a straight bill player. Jimmy Rimpey, for example, ran 95 off of my opening break. So you're down 95 to nothing, and it's over pretty much. So anyway, I go to Vegas, and I get a hotel room in Circus, $25 a night for a week. And the entry fee was $125. Drove all the way to Vegas, and there was 32 players in this, 16 world champions from all over the country, and Cicero Murphy from New York, Richie Florence was from California, Lou Butera, Johnny Irvolino, another guy from New Jersey that was there. They were all over, 16 of them that were world champions, basically, of quality. So Richie Florence made a mistake. He brought over this beautiful girl from LA and put her on the bar stool, and they're right next to our table. And he thought that was going to make him play better. Well, it made me play better. So I was showing off for this girl, and I beat him. Then I beat the next guy, Paul Barenza. Paul Barenza was the guy from New Jersey. And actually, I knew him before because he was with Jimmy Rimpey when I played Jimmy Rimpey when he spotted me. So I knew him. And so he didn't scare me. So at any rate, I won. Now all of a sudden I'm playing for the hot seat. And I wore a coat and tie. Stupidest thing I ever did. I'm trying to do something for the game. And I really dogged my game. Didn't play at all. And Johnny Irvolino beat me there. And then my next match, I got to play Lou Butera. He beats me. And I don't think he was as good a player as me, to be honest with you. But he's in the Hall of Fame, so I'm not taking nothing away from him. I didn't play my best. And I came in 3rd. So first tournament, I'm only like 22 at this time, and I don't play straight pool. So I come in 3rd, 16 world champions. Well, 3rd place paid $500. Well, entry fee was $125. That leaves $375. A week in Vegas, and I have to drive out Vegas and back. So I come back home, and I says, "Gee, I got to come back. I got to come in 3rd out of 32 to break even. Maybe this gig just isn't just right for me." So that's about the time I decided to do something other things in pool, and I actually wanted to be a cue maker. I figured, well, as long as I'm going to be in pool and want to make some money, maybe I can make some money making cues. And so there was only 6 or 7 cue makers at the time. One of them was Josh West, Josh East, Zambodi, Balabushka, Richard Black, and Mucci was just getting started, along with Paul Hubler. They were partners at one time, actually. And and then McDermott. Of course, those were mass producing more, and I wanted to be custom. And so I hitched a ride with Grady Matthews to Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay, in his car?
Yeah, in his car, with a couple of guys from New Jersey that were New York City. Shadiest guys I've ever met in my life. This one guy was Fearless Freddie. And they tell stories all the way up there about Fearless Freddie, and man. So at any rate, so I bum a ride up to Colorado Springs. Well, at that time, Bill Stroud, Josh West, he was in Aspen, Colorado. So I flew a plane, took a private plane to Aspen, got a cab, went up to his car, his door to his shop, and knocked on the door. Here he comes to the door. I said, hey, Mr. Stroud, I want to work for you. I want to learn the business. And he says, well, gosh, that's kind of funny. I'm moving my whole operation to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I said, well, gosh, I'm from Oklahoma City. He says, well, come see me when I move there. So I go to this tournament in Toledo, come back through Tulsa and see him. And he says, well, I thought about it. I changed my mind. I just want to be a one-man operation. I don't really want my cues made by anybody else but me. And I said, that's fine. I respect that, So that didn't work out. So the next tournament I went to is in Houston, Texas. And the tournament director I happened to meet down there was Richard Black. So I didn't do any good in that tournament, straight pool again. And so I told Richard Black, I said, I'll tell you what, if you'll let me work for you, I'll work the first month for free and the second month for $500 if you'll let me learn the business and teach me some things. He says, I'll take you up on that. So I moved down to Houston and worked for him for 2 months. Well, you know how that worked out, He let me go after that. That was 2 months labor, and that was a good thing for both of us. He got some work done, and I got to learn the business, so that was part of the deal. So I moved back here, and before I did, I stayed down there for about 4 or 5 more months, kind of stuck with my rent and things. Through town goes St. Louis Louis. So I met St. Louis Louis, became close friends with him, and he says, hey, I'm going to Florida for 4 tournaments. Be down there a month. You want to go? And I said, man, yeah, I want to go. So I didn't have any money. I borrowed some money from a guy, $400. And I told my roommate, I says, hey, I'm leaving. This rental furniture is on you. And you can take care of the lease, and I'll see you later. So I packed up everything, went to Florida, and played in 4 tournaments in 5 weeks. Kept driving down there. First one was in Tampa. Next one was in Orlando, and then Fort Lauderdale. Last one was in Miami. So by the time we got to Miami, we were all broke. I came in 8th, 9th, I think, down there. And in Miami, everybody was broke. So the guy that's having the tournament stakes everybody. So he staked me. I don't even have a cue. And Mucci, a guy who worked for Mucci, loaned me the cue that I played with. And I played really good with it. And so I won my first 3 matches, and next thing you know, I'm in the hot seat. I got to play my friend St. Louis Louis for see who plays Siegel in the finals. And I beat St. Louis Louis. He came in 3rd. And so now I got to play Siegel. He's got to beat me 2 sets in a row to win it. And so at any rate, he kept it close, and it was 9-9, and I'm running out, and I'm playing with this Mucci I wasn't used to, and it hit it really good, and I overstroked the ball on the side. All I got to do is float it down to the end rail, straight in on the 9, and I overstroked it, and the cue ball kind of goes through the ball, changed the angle, and I scratched. I never scratched like this in my life. It's kind of a billiard shot, to tell you the truth, because I went through the ball. And so at any rate, he beats me 11-10 or 11-9, whatever it was. And he beats me in that set. So I come in second. Siegel wins. And it paid $800 for second place. So the guy was staking me, took the $100 off the top for the entry fee. That left $7. So he took half for staking me. So I got $350 for that second place. So again, I tell myself the same thing. I said, well, you know, this tournament, it's just not for me. You know, so I flew back home and started running the pool room. And at 50th of May, it's called Chester's now, after Chester Truelove. And started running that, and that was in 1977. In 78, the spring of 78, I met a girl at the bank where I was making daily deposits, and she liked me. She wanted to marry me, and she wanted me to give up pool. So I quit the job. Best job I ever had was at the pool room. I was making a ton of money, working 6 days, 6 hours a day, around all my friends. I quit there. She wanted to get married and have kids, and I said, okay, that sounds good for me. And I married her in 1978 and gave up pool, and so I married her. And at any rate,
I want to pause for a second and get something to drink.
Yeah. I actually wanted to offer you all a bottle of water. I had it right there.
Well, you've been doing most of the talking. I can.
Well, I mean,